Let's start with Nate Taylor. Go ahead, Nate.
Good to see you, Tyrann. This is the first time you guys have done any. Hey, doing well. This is the first time even earlier today said, the team is putting a lot of faith in the fans to be responsible in order to watch you guys play games. Just what would your message be to fans given this first trial run and how it may look during the regular season?
Yeah, well, I'll probably just say that, obviously not to have expectations as if it was anything like last season. I think it's going to be an adjustment, for all of us involved, including the fans. I think that's so important to the game. And especially here, in Kansas City, they're like that extra element that we feed off. So I think it's a good deal that we are going to have some fans in some kind of capacity. But also, I truly believe that the Chiefs and the NFL would take the right steps to help those people, stay safe.
Let's go to Adam Teicher. Go ahead, Adam.
Hey, Tyrann, how you doing today?
Doing good. Blessed.
Good. Hey, I asked you about Travis Kelce last week about being his teammate. Now I want to ask you about him as a player. From afar, before you became his teammate, did you have any thoughts about him as a player? And also, what did those change at all when you became his teammate after you started practicing against him and seeing him play in and play out?
Yeah, I've always admired Travis from afar. I've always been a safety inside kind of cover guy. So he was always one of those guys. I didn't necessarily study him in detail because we didn't necessarily play against the Chiefs a lot before I got here. But he's always been one of those fascinating players, players that you can, find a mismatch with in any kind of defensive scheme. I think, me coming here practicing against him, he works just as hard as me. Obviously, I got a lot of respect for that. He's always out there. You see a guy like him, practicing through injuries, practicing through, when times are not going, well for him. So he's a great talent. He seems really in sync with the offensive system, the scheme, the quarterbacks. Even when Matt Moore gets in there, it's kind of like everybody's on the same page that Kelce's on. So I think that says a lot about his work ethic, and the time that he puts in, with the people around him.
Let's go to Aaron Ladd. Go ahead, Aaron.
Tyrann, we talked with Juan Thornhill yesterday, and he kind of brought us behind the scenes on kind of the work that he's done to get back. What did it mean to see him out there with the ones, and what does he look like in the locker room?
Oh, it's a blessing, man, to obviously, see a guy come back from an injury like that. Not many people can truly overcome it, mentally. I think for him, he's in a good space. He has a lot of good people around him. And I think, he's confident in himself and his abilities. So I think that's going to actually, help him once he gets on the field. In my opinion, he looks smooth. I've been through 2 ACLs, so I know it's going to be some growing pains within there. But to say he's 8 months since post-op, he looks pretty good. He looks like a natural defensive back.
Let's go to Herbie. Go ahead, Herbie.
Hey, Ty, just real quick question here. I'm going to toss some names at you, and then I'm going to get your thoughts on this. Patrick Mahomes, Russell Wilson, Lamar Jackson, Deshaun Watson, Dak Prescott. Obviously, they all have something in common. But my question to you is, and you're a guy who appreciates the history of the league, have we officially and finally reached a point in the National Football League where we no longer look at the quarterback skin color? We just say they're a quarterback.
Yeah, well, I would hope so. I think all those guys you mentioned, has really set a high standard, for themselves. Not just, what they're able to do outside the pocket. I think a lot of those people you named take the mental approach, to the next level, i.e. Tom Brady, Peyton Manning's, all those guys. You could see it in their everyday work. I was fortunate to play with 2 of those guys that you named, and, the standard is there. I think those guys are all about, showing everybody that they're a quarterback first, they're a team leader first, and then outside of that, they can do some extra special things. But I think all those guys are really, leaving, this roadmap behind them, so that other kids can follow.
We've got time for a couple more guys. Let's go Steve and then Darren. Go ahead, Steve. Steve, you got us? Steve, we're going to come right back to you. Let's go to Darren, okay? Go ahead, Darren.
Hey, Tyrann, hope all is well with you, my brother. Couple of questions for you. One, what is the expectation when you all, with the year under Steve Spagnuolo's defense, and obviously the learning trajectory that you all had coming out of last season, going into this particular season, and then following up with that, something off the field, dealing with your voter registration stuff. How involved will the players in the organization be leading up to Election Day, registering people to vote within the 3rd and 5th district here in Kansas City, and on Election Day? What do you hope, or what do you expect the players to do? Will we see you all at the polls making sure people are getting out there to vote?
Yeah, I think to answer your first question, we expect to pick up, where we left off last season, as one of the best defenses in the National Football League. No, we wasn't pretty. No, we don't have this, extra amount of first-round draft picks. We just got a lot of guys that work hard, that fit our scheme really well. A lot of those guys are coming back. So the expectation is to be one of the best defenses in the National Football League, obviously to start this season faster, and then to finish even stronger, than we did this past season. I think right now, between the organization and different players, obviously the organization is doing this part, trying to help other players, and then the community as well, with this voter registration. And then individually, different players are doing different things, whether it be in their own community, through their own foundation. So I do expect more players, not just with the Chiefs, but all around the NFL, to go back to their communities, to sit in on board meetings, not even when they're not able to be present in certain situations. I do expect people to speak up more, hold themselves accountable more, and then also encourage, everyone around them to vote.
Let's go back to Steve and see if we can get a last one in. Steve, can you hear us okay?
Hey, can you hear me?
Gotcha.
Yep.
All right, cool. Tyrann, to piggyback on Aaron's question earlier about Juan, he said yesterday that he talked to you about your ACL injuries. Just how much did he actually lean on you, so to speak, and what was your message to him, if you can share that with us? And also, following up, I have a follow-up too, Brad.
Yeah, I think Juan is, like I mentioned earlier, he's a confident kid. I wouldn't say that, I gave him this secret ingredients, special recipe. I just told a young man to keep a clear head, to, not overwhelm himself, to not necessarily look at the end of the road, just take it day by day, and everything will work out in his favor. He's a hardworking kid. He's a listener, and I think that helps you, when you're going through tough times. But to see him back on the field with a smile on his face, even when he wasn't on the field, he was in meetings with us, still communicating, answering all the questions. So, he's a guy that you can obviously see hasn't detached, from football. And I think that's so important. That also helps people kind of get over the hump, of any injury. I think anybody that's able to stay attached to, what they're doing, it seems like they're never checked out. They're always there.
And also, in a normal world, you guys will be getting ready to play your second game against the Arizona Cardinals. Has your body said, wait, something is off yet, as far as not playing those games, because you've been in the league for a little while? And then when you found out that you weren't going to be able to go back for the first time to play in Arizona, what was that feeling like?
You know what? I think, here in Coach Reed, system, this organization, it's a lot of practice reps. It's a grind. Obviously we're playing against some really good players, MVP players, players that are considered the best at their position. So in my mind, outside of, falling on the ground, tackling people, I think we'll definitely, be ready to roll.
Tyrann, we appreciate the time today. Thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate it.